You are now listening to the Building Her Dream podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with introverted women entrepreneurs who are building their dream lives and businesses on their own terms. Hosted by business operations strategist, author, and the founder of Building Her Dream, Shayla Burton. To learn more about this podcast and our magazine, visit www.buildingherdream.com. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Shayla Burton, and this is the Building Her Dream podcast. I'm so excited to chat with today's guest. She is a marketing and communications expert who currently offers training and coaching to female entrepreneurs to help them build their empire online. She is the founder of Online Social Butterfly. All the way from Australia, we have Sarah Thomson. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning, Shayla. And we were just giggling about the fact that it's really early here and it's evening there for you. So we've done well. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. Now, I always like to start off with a fun question. And, at Building Her Dream, we're all about building the dream life. And so if you could wake up tomorrow and have your perfect dream life, what would that look like? So where would you be? What would you be doing? What's your dream?
Oh, it's such a good question. And it's a really nice, appropriate time to ask that because I'm moving into kind of a different phase of my life at the moment. I've got teenage sons, and my oldest son is about to enter his final year of school, and my younger one is heading into his last 2 years, which is in Australia, very much focused on their university entry. And so my husband and I feel like we can see this light at the end of the tunnel, and we've been talking a lot about what will we do next. So my husband is from New Zealand, and his dream is for us to move there, which I would be so up for because it's beautiful. We go there all the time. And I would really love to move there, live on property and have like a small farm where we could grow fruit and have geese and ducks and chickens and kind of live a little bit off grid, which I know sounds a bit odd, but I really like the idea of a more simple life. Like where we live in Australia, it's quite a big city and it's very hustle bustle. And I've lived in lots of big cities, and I feel like that feels like the next stage for me. So getting up each morning and looking out to nature and having that slow pace is what I feel like my dream life will look like soon, hopefully.
That sounds beautiful. Yeah, living off the grid sounds awesome to me.
I don't know how I'll do that with a business, but the internet is everywhere. So I feel like it's still quite achievable, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's very cool. So from your bio, you've had a corporate career in marketing and communications. And then you decided to start your own business. So what inspired you to transition to your own business?
Oh, all right. So and I'm guessing a lot of the listeners are based in the US. So in Australia, we're a very big country like you guys. So from one side of the country where I'm in Perth to the East Coast to Sydney is a 5-hour plane ride. So I'd lived for many years in Sydney. I'd relocated there for work, and then I'd moved from Sydney to London in England and lived there for a long time. And when I came back to Australia, I was pregnant with my son, and I foolishly had forgotten what Perth was like in terms of being a much smaller city than those big cities, and imagined that the work that I would find here would be sort of comparable to what I had been doing. And it really wasn't. And I found myself back in corporate marketing and doing a job that I didn't particularly love. It was probably at a lower level than where I had got my career to. And both of my children were quite young. So my sons were 3 and 5. And my youngest one, just as a FYI, didn't sleep through the night. And so that was really demanding. And I worked really long hours, and I was just miserable. I remember leaving, this is the crux point. I left my job because in marketing, you often do events, and I was the marketing and comms manager. And I left my job at 11 p.m. and I still had to commute home. And I cried the whole way home because my boss had said to me, don't forget, you've got a 7 a.m. breakfast meeting tomorrow with these people. And I just cried, and I got home and I said to my husband, I don't care what we do. I just can't keep doing this. I feel like I'm going to break. I'm doing nothing well. I went in the next day and quit my job, which sounds like, wow, go girl. But it was a terrible decision because I had no idea what I was going to do. And having lived particularly in London, I worked as a consultant. I thought, well, people will just employ me as a consultant. It will be great. It wasn't. I imagine I could just get consulting work, which is often very stable work. You get very solid contracts, and it's just a different market here in Perth. And I couldn't get any work, and I sort of faffed about and tried to start this business. And I thought people would employ me to be their marketing consultant, because this is 13 years ago now. And nobody did. And so just by luck, someone said to me, I wouldn't pay you to do my marketing, but if you could do my social media marketing, I would pay you to do that. And that was such luck, because I was like, well, it's just like I'd done social media in my last corporate role. It's just to me, social media was just marketing on a different platform, and it didn't seem hard. And I thought, oh, I can do this. Great. So that was my first client, who I had for 5 years. So wow. Online Social Butterfly was born about 12 months later, after I realized I probably needed a name to trade under. And I kind of dived into social media, and I actually used to offer LinkedIn training, but I didn't love it. And I realized really early, when you have your own business, you get to choose what you do and how you do it. So I thought, I want to do what I love, and I don't love LinkedIn, and I think Facebook's super fun. So I decided, again, a lucky decision, that I would focus all of my efforts on Facebook rather than LinkedIn. And that's sort of, I guess that you can say the rest is history, really.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty interesting. I'm surprised that you couldn't find work with just marketing, because it seems like that's so needed.
Oh, I know. I guess I probably had come from a corporate background. And so a lot of those small businesses, lot of small businesses even now don't employ marketing consultants. They'll outsource, but they don't employ consultants. So I was just sitting in the wrong space at the wrong time. Now I'm sure it would be much easier.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So I've been talking with a lot of different entrepreneurs, and the consensus, of, at least around the ones that I've talked to, hate social media, dislike being on it, and including myself. Like, I like it for entertainment, but having to use it to like find clients and grow my business has definitely been a struggle. Yeah. So what are, in your experience, are some common challenges that entrepreneurs face when it comes to building their business online?
I think it's just the complete overwhelm and the kind of relentless influx of information. So we kind of we scroll through our feed, and we look at people's content, and we feel like all the time we have to do everything all the time. And we often then become crippled by, I don't know what to do because I have to do everything, so I do nothing. And that's a really hard place to put yourself in, because you can't do everything. And the people that you're watching who appear to be doing everything probably have a team supporting them. So that's one of the reasons I think we dislike social media so much, is because it feels, when we watch other people, that everybody's doing it better than us. And I always say to people, that's a terrible comparison, because if you dig into it, mostly people who are doing a brilliant job may be letting other things go in their business, or they've got other people helping and supporting them. So for me, I think the biggest challenge is letting go of that overwhelm and deciding on a strategy and sticking with it. So rather than kind of going, I'm going to try this today and follow this person today and do all these things, kind of go, this is what I'm going to agree to in my business to show up in, and this is how I'm going to show up. And then I'm just going to do that. And what happens is we get really bad wobbles, and we think, we jump on and we're like, we have a strategy and we implement it for maybe a few days or a few weeks. And then we see other people doing something else, and we get really distracted and think, maybe I should start doing that. So social media breeds this whole discontent around ourselves. We never feel like we're enough. We never feel like we're good enough, and we never feel like we're doing enough. And that's why most people don't like social media, is because it instills all these horrible negative feelings in us.
Yeah. I can definitely see how comparison is a challenge, because I look at other entrepreneurs, and sometimes I see, people who just post every day, multiple times a day. And I'm wondering, like, how do they do this? How do they find the time to just be posting every day? So, yeah.
It's a good idea when you say that to ask yourself, you know, how big is their business? How long has it been going? Maybe they have great strategies, like they maybe do lots of scheduling and batching content. There's all sorts of things going on behind that, which we don't see. And I think our brain instantly goes to that comparison rather than being logical and saying, oh, I'm sure that they have done this or they've been doing it for a while. Like I've been in business for a while, so I find social media enjoyable and I understand it. So it doesn't feel as hard as it does for like most of my clients don't feel like that. So, you know, be kind to yourself on social media. That's my biggest piece of advice for any entrepreneur is be kind and stop making yourself feel inadequate because you're probably great at what you do and you just don't have to be great at marketing, which nowadays is mostly social media.
Right. What advice would you give to introverted women who know that they need to be on social media to promote their business, but like they prefer to be more in the background? Like, how do we find our voice and put ourselves out there?
I think my best piece of advice would to still be authentic to yourself. So to honor what feels good for you. Like I'm a very extroverted person, hence my name, Social Butterfly. My husband came up with that. And it suits me and I'm quite happy to be visible and seen. And so that becomes very easy for me. My husband is an introvert and if he has to speak to someone on the phone, I think he'd rather like donate a kidney than do that. He finds it so hard. So when I look at him, if he had to show up and be visible, and a lot of my clients were introverts, it becomes really daunting and we get into this energetic space of, I don't want to do it. And it takes lots of energy just to even think about showing up. So I always say when you're introverted to make small challenges that move you forward without making you feel so uncomfortable you can't sleep. So to start with, it might be getting some photos of yourself and putting those in your content. And not like my whole face to camera kind of thing, but maybe using a tool like Canva and putting a little photo of yourself there so you're visible, but you're not the kind of like the star of the show. And then it's a progression to add more you into your content. And you do that in a way that feels like I'm moving forward, but I'm not, like I said, feeling really uncomfortable. So adding more photos of yourself, maybe talking to camera, but be behind the camera rather than in front of it. And so all of those build your confidence and help you to move forward and be more visible without me sort of like turning the camera on you and saying, can you please start talking right now? Because that's horrible and it feels uncomfortable. And it's not moving you forward. You're just going to start to feel worse and worse, and then you're not going to do anything.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. And it is challenging. And I think, you know, if you actually acknowledge your style and what feels natural to you, it's actually a lot easier to move forward than if we always compare ourselves to those other people like me, who I spend my whole day in front of a camera. I train, I coach. I'm very comfortable looking at myself and hearing myself. Do not compare yourself to weirdo extroverts like me. All right. Because we are not the norm. And so you have to do what feels authentic. And I truly believe if you do sit in that authentic space, we can often see how you feel. So if you are like, someone said I had to speak to camera and so I'm doing it, but I'm hating every second of it, we can feel that energy when we watch you. And so it's not kind of, you're not being true to yourself. And I feel like your audience deserves that truth of this is who I am and I'm showing up as best as I can. And what I do love about social media, and it makes me really happy, is we are much more, my feed is much more embracing of people who are neurodiverse and who have different personality types. And so you can show up and say, I'm really introverted and social media is not my happy place, but I'm doing my best. And people are really lovely about it. I like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow.
Is that hitting home for you?
Yeah, it is. I think I just need to kind of take baby steps. Really.
Absolutely. And baby steps in all respects of it. So, you know, one of the things I do find, and I listen to this within myself, even though I'm quite extroverted, is I don't always want to show up and speak on camera. Some days I don't want to put makeup on. Some days I don't want to do my hair. Maybe I just want to hang out in my like PJs all day. So if I'm feeling like that, I listen to and honor how I feel. And so as an introvert, you will definitely have more days when you don't want to be visible and you don't want to do those things. And when you're feeling like that, don't do it. And that's where you want to have those good systems that you've got content batched and things done so that you're still showing up on social media, but you don't have to go there and show up. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So all of those kind of strategies that make life easier for yourself, because and I know having living with an introvert, if you push yourself all the time to do things that are hard, it's exhausting. And that then flows through into all parts of your life and your business. And that's not why we started our business, is to burn out and be exhausted. That no one's had that dream. That is no one's dream.
Right, for sure. Wow. So, can you tell me more about the services you provide through Online Social Butterflies? So, is it like a coaching program? Is it one-on-one? How does that work?
Yeah. I have a lot of different services. I definitely offer one-on-one coaching, and I have to say I really love it. So despite having lots of other products, I still love my coaching. I still enjoy spending time with people and helping them move the needle really quickly. So I'm not a normal coach though, because I don't know if it's the case in the US, but in Australia, most coaches make you get like monthly committed coaching packages. And I'm a by the hour kind of girl. So I find a lot of my clients will come to me and I love it when people work with me long-term. That's wonderful. But I want people to have the option to say, I've broken my meta ads. Can you just come in and fix something? And they just book an hour with me. And I think that's really helpful, because then they can come and have an hour and then they can go on their merry way. They don't necessarily need me for 3 months. So I'm a by the hour coach, and I don't know if I'll ever change that. It's been like that the whole time. Then I do a lot of face-to-face training in my hometown here. So I get to go out and train people on social media. And then I have a lot of online courses. So I have built a business that's very diverse, with the view that, I'm not reliant on one income stream. But the interesting thing about running a business, if you're listening to this and you're new in business, is not a single service that I offered in my business when I started is now available in my business. Like I don't do anything that I did then that I do now. And that's been something that's been a really interesting evolution in terms of, growing your dream life kind of thing, is being able to roll with how things move. So in my early days, I did social media management for clients almost exclusively. I used to write blogs, all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of grew out of that and grew into coaching and training. And I think being open to, I'm going to just try something and see how it goes, and then kind of go, be nice to yourself and go, I don't like doing that. Because remember, when we're employees, we had to do stuff we didn't like. And in our business, to build that dream business is to listen to what makes your heart sing and to do more of that. And I, like when you're saying, what does your dream day look like? I get up and live my dream so much because I built my business with that intention. This is where I wanted my life to be. I wanted to work at home. I wanted to be there for my sons. I wanted to work with my husband at home. I intentionally built all these things into my business to create my dream life every day, which is not sexy and exciting. I don't live on a beach with a laptop. I just live in the suburbs, and I get to take my kids to school every day. I get to watch them be competitive swimmers. I get to participate. That was what my dream was. And every moment that you are building your business, if you know what that dream is. So when that question was asked at the beginning, when Shayla asked it, did you know? If you don't know what the answer to that is, ask yourself that, because you can't build your business around your dream life if you don't know what that looks like.
Exactly. And what you said about your business not being the same as when you first started it is the same for me. I started my business 6 years ago, my main business, and I transitioned to doing different things a couple of times until I found out like what my true passion was. So sometimes I will compare like where I am in my business to someone else who's been in their business the same length of time, but then I have to remind myself that this has been like a journey, and I've been discovering what I want to do. And so I may not be at the same level as someone else, but that's okay, because this is my journey.
Oh, and it's so nice if we could all sit in more of that space, like you've just said, and honor our own journey. It would be so much better. And it's very hard to do that. And social media makes it so hard, because we look at other people and we compare ourselves and we think, oh, I should be further along. I still say that to myself sometimes. I should be further along. I've been in the business for a long time. And I forget parts of my journey where I stumbled and I changed direction. And I decided I didn't want to do things which was detrimental to my income at the time, because I wanted to build this dream business. And I think if we could sit more in the comfort of this is what I wanted and I've built what I wanted, rather than looking at other people and trying to validate ourselves, that would be a really nice place to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you think of a success story, or maybe even just some feedback that you've gotten from a client who has worked with you and built their business online?
Oh, yeah. I've got lots of clients who've built online businesses, and I think I could share lots of success stories. But one of the things I would say to anybody who's listening is that building an online business is exciting, and you have to be very comfortable learning lots of tech and things like that. But please be careful of watching what other people are doing, and particularly people who share their success. So I'm sure she's big in America, she's big in Australia, Amy Porterfield, who is like a big name in my space in digital marketing. And she often talks about the fact she has like $5 million launches and all of these things. She has a team of like 20. And so really be mindful when you're building your own online business to be truthful to your journey. So don't kind of go, well, I wonder if I could have a 6-figure launch, or I wonder if I can do that. And then when we don't, we think that we failed. And in truth, every time you sell, and I say this to my clients all the time, every time you sell a digital product or launch a digital product, in your head, it should represent millions of dollars, because that's what the opportunity is. Just because you didn't create and have that success today, the future potential of digital products is always there. And if we can kind of, again, look at our own progress, and I think I mentioned both of my sons are competitive swimmers. And what's been really interesting about swimming is that they always go for their PB, their personal best. And so whilst they're obviously competing for state times and national times and things like that, they always at competitions are going up against themselves as their personal best. And in my business, I've actually embraced it. I embraced it years ago. So every time I have a launch in my business, my goal is to do my personal best, i.e. do better than I did before. So it's not to make a $5 million launch. I'd love that, but my business is simply not big enough to create that. But what I want to do is, what did I do last time? And I measure everything that I do. So if I'm doing a launch of a product, like how many posts did I do? How many reels, how many lives, how many emails, how big was my list? All of those kind of benchmarks. And then I just measure. And my goal is to just do a little bit more, so that then each time I just keep improving and succeeding, not comparing myself to Amy Porterfields of the world and saying, why does my business not look like that? So I think that is really, really important. I have lots of clients who, I think a lot of, ironically, although I'm very much in this digital tech space, a lot of the work I do with my clients around launching in particular is talking about mindset and having the right mindset for your launch, so that you go in with good energy, and at the end of it, you have good goals. Like you really, really clear. I still remember years ago when I launched my first digital product, I was like, I had on my vision board, I'm going to make $100,000. I was delusional. I had like 300 people on my email list, and I did have following on social media, but I did not have the audience for that kind of number. And so, and when it, I think I did like $6,000, which was amazing as someone who was coaching, and that would have taken me a couple of weeks to earn that. That was amazing. But I had very unrealistic expectations, and I didn't really understand numbers and launching. And so all of those made me feel disappointed when I should have felt excited. And that's really, really important to know what you can do, be kind to yourself, and share in your success. I think that's one of the things I do all the time in my business. I try and do it with my husband. It's end of month today. And I always try and focus in on, how did the last month go? Did it go how we wanted it to go? What did we succeed in? And having a moment to actually stop and acknowledge that. Because when we're employees, we get that. Well, I certainly got that in my corporate roles. Right. People would tell you if you're doing a good job. They would tell you if you weren't doing a bad job. You'd have annual reviews where you got a pay rise. When you work for yourself, I remember saying this to my husband years ago, why don't people tell me that they think I'm great? And he said, they pay you. That's how you know. And they come back. And I was like, I need more validation than that. So I do get lots of nice feedback now, but we need to be our own cheerleaders and our own cheer squad.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because people will say nice things about you sporadically, but sometimes it's not enough. And then also like sometimes I'll be posting on social media and, maybe people aren't super engaged with the content. And so I feel like I'm not being seen. And so sometimes like imposter syndrome or self-doubt will creep in, but then every blue moon, someone will reach out to me and say, "Oh, I've been watching you. And so I'm so happy for you and all your success." And I'm like,
Aw.
wait, what? So it's like a reminder that people are watching. So they might not be saying anything, but people do, they see you. And they
A
may be
lot.
cheering you on, silently.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that I often tell people, and I'm sorry to circle back to this, Charlotte, I hope it's okay. When you were talking about introverts, one of the things that I tell people as a really good piece of advice to kind of step through our own, let's call it horror or terror of showing up on camera. One of the ways that I talk about how we do that is remember that on this planet, there are lots of other people that feel like you. There are lots of other introverts who, I don't want to do this and I have to push through and it's really, really hard. And I often tell myself this advice, and I give it to others, is I'm a middle-aged woman. I'm like super short, super chubby, and feeling like I'm nearly looking my 50 years of age. And I wish that I was younger and thinner and beautiful like a lot of the people that I see on social media. But I tell myself every time I show up and am visible as who I am, this is what I look like, I give other people permission to do that too.
Yes.
So when you show up as an introverted person and say, I'm doing this live today, and can I be really honest, I don't feel very comfortable. I'm a natural introvert, but I really want to share this with you. Your listeners will hear that and they will be like, oh, if Shayla can do it, I can do it. So we inspire other people with our everyday actions, and don't underestimate how powerful that is, because I see a lot of women in particular that Instagram comparison is awful. No one is younger, beautiful, thinner enough. We're never enough. You know what I mean? And so if we let that hold us back, I wouldn't have a business, because I'm not as young and pretty and thin as the other women that do what I do, but I'm me and I have an audience who likes me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great advice. If you think back over your journey as an entrepreneur, is there anything that you would do differently?
Ooh, a few things. I wish I had started building digital products sooner. I only sort of started about 3.5 years ago, but I had a dream for it many years ago. But what I didn't realize is that I thought my business would be successful enough that I would be able to step away from it to build those digital courses and stuff like that. That is not the case. When I started building my first digital course, I literally felt like I was running two businesses parallel. So I kind of was doing a bit of hustling and a bit of long hours. And then with the view that it would pay off, which it definitely has. But I kind of had it in my mind that my business was going to grow and I could take this time out, some sort of sabbatical to do this stuff. It was ridiculous. And so if I'd kind of known then, look, Sarah, you're going to have to put your head down for 6 months and you're going to have to work some extra hours, but it's going to be worth it. I wish I'd done it like 10 years ago instead of waiting. And one of the lucky kind of, happens for me here in Australia is during COVID, particularly here in Perth, we had a significant amount of lockdowns. We are one of the most locked down countries in the world, and Australia and Victoria and Western Australia were the most locked down cities. So we spent a lot of time at home. We were very quiet. We did get a lot of government support, but I used that time to create all these online courses. I made 5 online courses in 6 months because I literally had that time. And it was an amazing opportunity, but it inspired me to keep going. And I look back and think, oh, Sarah, all that work that you put into kind of, trading your time for money years ago, you could have moved across. So I wish I'd done all of that sooner. I do acknowledge, though, it has got a lot easier. The tech's got easier. Everything that we can do online has got easier. But I wish I'd started that years before.
Wow, that's making me think, because I've been putting off creating digital products.
I know. And why I think we put it off? I think we put it off because we see that we have to create like an online signature course, like a big program. And I always jokingly say this, if someone said to me, oh, I need to kind of lose weight and get fit, the advice you would say to people is like, maybe start walking. The advice isn't maybe you should run an ultra marathon. To me, digital products, the signature course is the ultra marathon, and there are like 20 other offerings before that. And so start with the easy things, create a little ebook that you can sell, or, create a masterclass that's an hour that you can sell. There are so many choices that are easier than creating a massive signature course that takes lots of time and energy. And then you can start selling that, building an audience. And I have to, I kind of find it quite addictive, digital products. I love building them and creating them. I love it.
Yeah.
So start now, Shayla.
I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to put that on my to-do list and maybe find something simple that I can create first.
Yeah. There's lots of choices for ease and simplicity beyond those complex things that like that ultra marathon. You don't need to start there.
Yeah. What has been the most rewarding aspect of running your business?
I definitely say it's my clients. It's that when they have that success and you feel like, oh, I was part of that, I helped facilitate. I'm working with a lady at the moment. She's in launch this week, and we've only been working together 6 weeks. And if you're listening, please, I don't normally do that and normally have a 12-week window, but she came to me and she'd been working with someone for 18 months. And in that time, they'd got nothing done. She's more patient than myself. And she said to me, I'm desperate. I need to bring some income in. I can't get any of these things done. There was all these tech problems that we had to fix. And when I had a session with her yesterday, she said, I can't believe that we've got this up and running in 5 weeks. And I said, to be honest, nor can I. And she said, I feel like you've changed my life. And she said, I feel like I've got hope and optimism about my business and my future. And when I got off her, I was quite emotional because I was like, I sometimes make a joke to people that like I'm changing the world one Facebook page at a time. Like I sometimes feel like I'm not really changing the world, but I actually am, because I get to work with entrepreneurs who are stuck and they can't fix something. And I get to come in and just be a part of that, whether it's a 1 hour or they work with them for 2 years, whatever that looks like. I think I didn't really realize, because you definitely don't get this in a job, how much of a difference you can make to someone. And I love that. I coach, I try and block my coaching into 2 days a week, and I do back to back. And at the end of the day, because my husband shares an office with me, we work at home, and he says to me, geez, you've had a ripper day. You had some really great clients. And that is just so satisfying. It feels so good. And I love that feeling that I've helped someone, I've got them unstuck, I've fixed a problem that's broken. It is such a wonderful feeling. And so I do think now, I don't be so self-deprecating. I do think I'm changing the world, because I'm allowing people to grow their business and fulfill what it is that they wanted to do, just like I get to do that.
Yeah, definitely. You're helping to not only just grow their business, but to change their lives. So that's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm not like creating that transformation. I'm a small part of their journey, and often a facilitator, or often I can be the key to unlock that for them, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sarah, it has been wonderful chatting with you. I wish we could spend some more time, but before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share where our listeners can find more information about you, and if they wanted to work with you, how should they reach out?
Oh, thank you so much. So my favorite places to hang out are definitely Instagram. So I'm Online Social Butterfly on Instagram and on Facebook. Send me a DM on Facebook. Happy to chat. You can visit my website, which is onlinesocialbutterfly.com.au. So because we're in Australia, we have that .au at the end. So reach out to me, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you. I have lots of ways in which you can work with me. I have also lots of free resources like on my YouTube and stuff. So yeah, reach out, say hi. I'd love to hear if you heard the episode as well.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll definitely check you out via your website and social media. Thank you so much for joining me, Sarah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I have loved every minute of it. Thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you to our audience for listening. This has been another episode of the Building Her Dream podcast. If you've enjoyed it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, leave us a review, and stay up to date with what we're doing by visiting www.buildingherdream.com.